Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the benefit of journaling. And I have with me Mario. Hello Mario, how are you today?
Hi Beverly, I'm doing very well. It's good to be with you today.
Great, thank you. So today, since you are, it's kind of your area, the journaling, can you tell me a little bit
Yes.
about your work as a spiritual coach?
As a spiritual mentor, so a little bit of background of I started my personal spiritual journey over 30 years ago. And during that period, I always had for most of that period, I had a spiritual guide or mentor to guide me, to help me, to inspire me during those times to reach my own personal goals. And I think it's important for people, certainly during this very important journey in their lives. I think it's important to have somebody who could support you, who could provide inspiration and different perspectives for them to reach their own, to go through their own challenges.
Yeah.
So this is something that I aim to do for others the way I received it for so many years.
Okay, I see. And do you how let's say I'm your client, how does it really work? I come to you, what do you do exactly with me? You ask me question, how does that happen? Just for the audience to know exactly what what you're doing.
Sorry, Beverly, I think the screen has frozen a little bit.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes, Mario. So I would like to know more, like if I'm your client, how actually you really work as a spiritual mentor.
So, okay, so obviously every client is different, and I approach them basically as to where they are in their life, in their journey. So I try to establish first the baseline, what they've done, the challenges they've had so far, so that I get a sense of where they are in their lives. And then we take it one step at a time to see what their challenges are. And slowly through conversations, I help them to gain clarity on certain issues that they're dealing with. And I also help them to discover their own innate wisdom that they have within them in order to deal with their challenges. And so I help them to really discover who they really are.
Okay.
And part of that I often recommend is that journaling comes into play as well, because apart from the discussions we have, as you know, a spiritual journey is a very personal experience. It's something you do for most of the time, you do it alone.
Yes.
And this is where journaling comes in. This is why I'm so passionate about this particular tool.
Okay, nice. I understand more. And what is actually journaling, and what are the main benefits of it?
So journaling is basically a written account of your thoughts and feelings that you have that you go through on a daily basis. So this is it's personal to each individual. There's no one way of doing it. And there's many benefits to journaling. For one of the biggest ones is that it helps you deal with your emotions. Okay. Definitely, certainly if you're anxious or you're sad, it really helps you to be more self-aware of your emotions and to deal with them a little bit better. So by writing them down, you could express yourself, express those emotions, and work through them through your writing. It's a great tool for that. It's like an emotional catharsis as well. when you're doing that.
I see.
It's also, journaling is also like, it's a mindfulness tool. Like, it helps you focus. So when you're writing, you're only writing one thought, you're only writing one word at a time. So it helps you to bring back the focus to the present moment, which is very helpful, especially if you have scattered thoughts. It helps you bring back your focus. It also helps you to track your emotions. So when the more you write in a journal, you get to notice certain patterns that either come up and back again, and so it helps you to notice what the patterns are, and you get
About
to
yourself?
see.
Sorry. About
Yeah,
yourself. Okay.
yeah, always. Yes, that's right. And it also allows you to notice, what triggers you, either negatively or also even positively. So so it helps you keep track of all that, to notice these patterns that otherwise you may not, on just going through life, you may not notice what they are. And writing it's also, you're practicing the art of journaling. Is you practice the art of writing. So the more you write your thoughts and ideas, it could improve your communication skills further down.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and obviously it's also a great way to reduce stress. So when sometimes you want to reach certain goals and you're stressed about it, by writing them down, writing your goals down and talking about writing about how you want to do it, it sort of reduces your stress level, your anxieties about a situation, because you're thinking through what you want to do and writing it down. And it also, in doing that, it helps you to declutter your mind. So sometimes our thoughts are all over the place. Like I mentioned before, it's a little bit like a mindfulness tool. So it declutters your mind. It brings back to what's important in that moment, and sort of leave everything else out. So it just clarifies your ideas, your thoughts on what you want to speak about on that moment, or write about at that moment. And it could also boost your emotional intelligence, because the more you write about your thoughts, about your feelings and your emotions, I think it connects you more with others. The more you connect with yourself in that way, the more you connect with others as well. You start to understand a little bit more what others are going through. So it boosts emotional intelligence. Yeah. So those are some of the main advantages and benefits.
And what's the difference between actually diary and journaling? Because yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the difference, well, they're similar, of course, but one diary is more like writing about your day-to-day activities. It's more of a data collection tool, if you will. Journaling is more about writing about the big picture things, about your aspirations, about your feelings and emotions and thoughts, and digging deep into those things. You know, Writing about all the things you want to do in your life, your dreams and aspirations. So yeah, so they're very similar. And yeah, so that's basically the difference.
The difference. And what are the different type of journaling?
Well, there's no wrong way or good way of doing a journal. I think what's important is that we find a technique that allows us to connect with your mind, body, and spirit. And it really depends on what your needs are. So the type of journaling that I do is stream of consciousness. Basically, I write about what I'm feeling, and my thoughts on any particular subject on that day. There's dream journaling. food journaling, sketching journaling, exercise journaling, gratitude journaling. And there's diary where you write your day-to-day events. So there's many different types. So you basically find what works for you. And some people combine everything into one. So you see journals sometimes where people will be sketching, they'll be writing some poetry, they'll maybe write some lyrics to a song, they'll talk about a dream they had. This will all be maybe in 1 or 2 pages, but it really speaks to what their needs are at that moment. So there's no one formula to it. It really depends on what your needs are. For myself, I initially started by doing more of a journaling as I was working out more of my emotions and my feelings, really getting to know myself. And then later on, it became more of a diary and a journal combined, as I wanted to sort of document some of the practices that I did, some of the events that were happening in my life. So I sort of combined the two together.
Okay, now that you explained that, I think I saw few people doing actually journaling, but I didn't know it was journaling, more of a sketch. They make design like a cartoon or something, they try to express themselves that way.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I can say I know what is journaling.
Excellent, yes. And hopefully others will learn from this too.
Yeah, definitely. And do you have any suggestion for the newbie, for the one who want to start it?
Yeah, I think it's important to find whatever technique works for you. For example, it's not necessary to write by hand on paper. That's my preference, personal, but you could write on a computer. You could also, today there's apps that you could use for journaling.
Okay.
So whatever technique works for you, that's the most important thing. I think when you're writing, it's also important to let go of judgments when you're writing in a journal. Like, this is for your eyes only. And yeah, be creative, just let go with the flow, whatever comes up. And you could get really creative in doing this. And some people get writer's block, and I know I had that when I first started all the time. I'd sit in front of my page not knowing what to write, So you start with, what am I feeling at this moment, or what happened to me today that was interesting, or so you could also, if you're blocked, just start off by writing 3 things that you're grateful for today, just to get going on your writing. So I'm grateful for this and that. And you could also, some people, like I've done it many times, is I go to different locations.
Okay.
So one day I'll go to a park, and another day I'll go to a cafe. Another day I'll just try, go next to the river, or something different. A different location also helps to be more creative. And also you could use journal prompts. Basically, for me, what I do is next to my journal, I keep a small pad of paper. And let's say something happens like it just pops into my mind, a certain idea. And I said, well, I really want to explore this. Or something happened to me where I felt a certain way. And I said, I want to explore. Why is it that I either reacted that way or felt that way during this experience? So what I'll do is I'll jot just a note on the pad. And I'll accumulate 2 or 3 notes, whatever how many notes there are. And then when I come to writing my journal, I already have all my ideas. So it just flows from there. And I also, at the beginning, when I started, what I used, for me, it was about getting the pen moving for some reason. Just so there's the points that I've mentioned, but what I used to do is just I used to say, well, what part of the day is it? And what is the weather? And that was like just to get or where I'm located. And if I'm in a park or at a cafe, I'll just say I'm writing from here. And it's strange, but the minute I got the pen moving, it sort of created a flow. And I just jumped in there.
Okay.
So yeah, so those are some of the ways
they can start it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And how's yes?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to talk about making it a routine, finding a way to make it a routine, whether, just finding what works for you as far as making it a routine. Like if it's better for you to do it in the morning or the afternoon, how much time you want to put in. Do you need to schedule it in? Some people, they just have to schedule it in. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Okay. Do you do it every day?
Originally, I was. When I first started, I used to write every day. But then as it went along, as the years went along, now it's maybe 2 times to 3 times a week.
A week. Okay.
And like I said, what I do is I accumulate small notes in between so that I always know what I need to write on the next journal session, if you will.
That's great. So yeah, it's inspire you actually for the next.
Yes, I'm always look forward to it because of that.
But we can see that you're passionate about it.
Yes, absolutely. It's the one thing that I will, with my clients, I will, suggest strongly that they do whatever version, whatever type. Again, there's so many different types out there. Just whatever works for you. Just express yourself in some way.
Okay, that's great. And how is journaling have a role actually in your spiritual journey?
Well, it started over about 25 years ago. So I've been doing this for quite some time. And the first 2-3 years, it took a while to get going. So I'm so grateful that I had a spiritual guide at the time that she suggested I do this. But, because I used to do 1 or 2 times and then stop. And she would come back to me to suggest it again until after it really became a hobby and a passion for me. When I started to really see the benefits of it, that's when I really got into it. So the first couple of years was stop and go and stop and go and stop, but eventually it became something that that's my number one. It's my number one tool in my spiritual work that I've right next to meditation. I say that this is the number one tool that I used for my own spiritual journey. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I strongly suggest doing this. So in all these years, I think I've written about probably over 8,000 full pages of writing. So there's quite a collection there. And for me, it's just become a fun activity, So, and, to people who want to do this, before I was talking about trying to find a routine or whatever, they say, 3 to 5 times a week for 15 minutes could be very beneficial. But, whatever works for you is what's important. Also, some people say that writing in the evening is very beneficial because you get to release whatever thoughts and feelings and emotions that day. So it really helps to also to sleep a little bit better. But a lot of people I speak to, they enjoy it in the morning when they have a clear mind. So yeah, so it just depends whatever works for you. And yeah.
That's wonderful. When
So some other suggestions perhaps is yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. When you say you were writing for the past 20 years or so, did you try in any time to write in a computer instead of writing by hand? Just want to know if you felt maybe the difference.
Yes, I did notice the difference. So I always did it by writing, but I used to have like work journals, for example, where I needed to write, what work I was doing, and keeping track of the work that I was doing. And so I noticed one of the things I noticed is that, and it's for journaling, is that when you're writing, for one thing, when you're writing by pen, you can't go back necessarily to re-edit. So with a computer, you may have a tendency to want to take away what you wrote. Yeah. So with writing, I noticed that if I just write what's there, so I don't go back to correct anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that part, for me anyway, it's important. But look, some people, they prefer, they don't like to write for whatever reason, and computer is just fine. But I think what's important for many people also is there's this thing about some people will write about their emotions and thoughts, and they're going to burn it later. They're going to burn the paper.
Yeah.
And then there's people like me who I want to keep my journals, because for me it's a record of my growth, of my journey. So right now I have over 20 years of ideas and thoughts and emotions, everything that I went through in all these years, events. So for me, it's going to be great. I have not reread all my journals. I have not ever reread them. So all those 8,000 pages have not been reread. So maybe one day it'll be a nice. It's going to be fun to reread it, as a grand novel of my journey, just to see all the things that I went through, the difficult times, and how I got through them. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that day, but I haven't done so yet. So yeah.
Okay, but I learned also that, and I know a lot of people saying that when you write with your hands, because you are attached to with your mind, is really different. It's like you are really writing with your thought and your heart instead of when you are in the computer. So that's
yeah, I would agree with that, actually. Yeah. For me, it's just such a different feeling. So you're right. I never tried directly my journal, but like I said, when I did other types of journals on a computer, it was not the same. It's it's the same thing as when people say I prefer to read a book, an actual book with paper, as opposed to reading it online or with your iPad. It's different, for some people. Again, maybe I'm old school. I definitely prefer the book, the pen, the paper. But it doesn't really make a difference on the technique, as I mentioned before. I think what's important is that you take the time to connect, with yourself, to become more self-aware. It's such a great tool to get to know who you really are, to get in touch with yourself. I mean, like I said, it's my work as a spiritual mentor is important because I do offer those different insights and perspectives, but there's so much of that work that takes place behind the scenes, because the spiritual journey is such a personal thing. It's really you and yourself, and of course it happens with other people. Obviously growth happens through others as well, but it is an inner journey. And journaling is a great way to connect with yourself in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I can say I agree with you because I know what it is. Because I saw many people do it, even myself. I know I did it in one point in my life. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But I did it, I would say, well, it was more like a diary. And sometimes I remember I read once and I was like, oh, is it me that write that, you know, I write this? Where is my mind, you know? And it's great to see
Exactly.
the change in yourself. Yeah.
Well, and I mentioned before that I personally didn't reread my journals, but actually, it's actually good to go back. Sometimes you write some ideas that you don't think may be great at that moment, but then you go back with a different perspective, a different mind, and
like,
all of a sudden you say, "Wow, I can't believe this was an awesome idea,"
Yeah.
or you, yeah,
Definitely.
or you wrote a piece of some lyrics, some poetry. That you didn't think was that important, but then it grows into something else as you take a look at it again and get inspired.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. That I agree. And yeah, is there anything that you would like to add before we close in?
No, like I said, I just the one thing I would say is I would at least explore it to see if it would work for you. You know, I know for myself, like I said, it took a while to get it going. So don't be discouraged if when you're writing, you get blocked. Try to use some of the techniques I mentioned before to help you with that, and eventually when you get into it and it becomes a habit and it becomes a routine, I think it'll be something that people will really, really enjoy. And it'll become a hobby, it'll become a passion, and whichever way, because that's your own personal space. It's really a playground. For me, journaling was like talking to a best friend. It was like I was able to really talk about, express myself the way I really wanted to. It's like having your best friend next to you, and you could just express everything that you need to express. But with journaling, because you're alone, sometimes it makes it, for some people, it's a lot easier to just express what they need to express. It's for their eyes only. Nobody else is gonna read it. So there's no filters. There's no judgment. You just express everything there is. So.
And I'm sure some people might have done it in the past without knowing it was actually journaling, like myself. So they can, they can keep doing what they used to do. And it also helped themselves figure out, like you mentioned, few things in their life and to be connected to their emotion and to be able to liberate some of them also. So that's wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great
great tools. Yeah,
it's a great mental health tool. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you very much, Mario, for this information, and I'm glad that I learned more today, and I'm sure you guys too learn about journaling. Because probably you've done it, but you didn't know, like myself, like I already mentioned that. So thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss other video. Thank you, Mario, for joining today, and we talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Beverley. It's been so much fun.
Yes, yes, definitely. Bye.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.